I started with a Plexus July of 2015, and I actually started working the business the day before I even tried my first pink drink. I have never made it a secret. I felt like I was led to this business. I had been struggling health-wise for so long, and I read about it. I talked to my girlfriend and was like, this is it. And I never looked back. I jumped in head first, and I was able to sign 5 people my first month. But then that instant success melted away, and it took me 5 more months to get to gold. And then it took me a long time to get to senior gold. And a month after my my 1-year Plexiversary, I like to make up words. You guys will notice this. I like to make up words. But Plexiversary, I hit Ruby. And Ruby was actually the easiest rank for me to hit. And then it took me a long time to start to get to senior Ruby. So I noticed that every time I would hit a rank, I would slide backwards. And then I had to fight that much more. And that gets old. It gets old that you're so excited to hit this rank and then you slide backwards. So by the time October came along, I had slid back so far from senior Ruby. I was like, this is ridiculous. But okay, I'm going to get that re-Ruby incentive, bonus that was going on. So I actually was able to re-Ruby pretty quick in the month. And we went to Leaders Retreat, and I talked to a lot of the higher ups, and they got me all jazzed and believing in myself again. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for this. It was legitimately the craziest goal I had ever set, the craziest thing I had ever done, the hardest I have ever pushed myself. And please forgive me if I get emotional here because the wounds are still fresh. But I have a very close-knit team. I love my team. They are my sisters. And I just said, will you guys help me? I can't do this myself. Like, let's do it together. And they linked arms with me and moved mountains. For being such a small team, we added, between white lines and new people without welcome packs, 34 people in 4 days. The most we had ever added to our team was 25. So, a lot of those were white lines coming back, but I personally added 5 people on Halloween. Now, here's where this success story starts to fall apart. We all have a love-hate relationship with back office, right? Yeah. And on November, in October and rank up, month, that last day was slow and painful. So I was flying blind with points the entire day. I never really knew where I was, but I was keeping notes and everything else. And at the end of that 9:00 p.m. cutoff, I sat there and I cried and I was like, I got it. I should be 7 points over. I've got this. Well, lo and behold, when the points updated, I was 17 points short. That equates to 3.6 orders. Now, if I had known I needed 3.6 more orders, don't you know I would have found them. I was crushed. I was literally shaking and every single emotion was coming out of me. I was the most down I had ever been. I had never, ever worked so hard. I'm not going to cry. I had never worked so hard for something. And more than that, I had never believed I could achieve anything like that. And I did not see it as a huge disaster. I was like, okay, this sucks, but it's going to be fine. We learned a lot of lessons. Our team learned that we actually can do this. We're going to do something good with this, right? Well, then November happened and I was nowhere close in points to getting back to that senior Ruby. Nowhere close. And I was burned out. I was burned out. I told my team, I'm a very transparent person with my team. They never have to guess what I'm thinking. I'm very, very honest with them. And I said, you guys, I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. We have created some really bad habits and we are all spinning wheels. We are 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I need to take a moment and decompress and try to figure out a different plan. And we kind of knew that December was going to be an iffy month. And I was like, let's just keep afloat. Like, for the love of everything, let's just keep afloat. Let's keep posting, keep talking to our people, keep trying to inspire people. And I'm going to come up with a plan. So I watched one video in the month of December that changed everything for me. I'm talking, I wept like a baby because all of a sudden I saw the light. It's called Success Loves Speed. And if you have not watched it, I will make sure that you get the link, because I sat there and cried like a baby. And I realized that the reason that we had been failing as a team is because not only had I been failing as a leader, but I had been failing myself. And I mean that. I had been failing myself. My belief in myself had not been there for a year and a half, and I had been standing in my own way. So I sat back and I was like, I'm going to put my big girl panties on and I'm going to figure this out. So I sat back and I looked at patterns. And what I realized was that I had not put my business first in a very long time. I had poured so hard into my team and getting them running, I had completely lost myself. The other thing was that clearly there was an attrition problem, and we had to try to get ahead of that and figure that out. And then the third thing is that we were not creating new runners. I realized we had not had anybody go silver in 3 months. Clearly that's a big red flag. We have to be bringing on new people. So I'm going to tell you what I did to kind of overcome these 3 big things. The first was dealing with myself. Okay, I had to give myself a checkup from the neck up. I had to realize that I had been making so many excuses for myself. Even though I preached about being a not excuse person, I really was letting myself down. I had lost my passion for this business. I was so drained, and I love this business so hard, but I really had to go back to why I started it in the first place and what made me love it so much. And to me, that was my love of the science behind the products, what they do for the body, why Plexus is different, and getting all of those results from my friends and family and getting those texts. I thrived on those. That was my passion. But because I hadn't been recruiting in so long, because I had been concentrating on everybody else, those things weren't coming in anymore. So guess what? I was losing my love for this. I had to get back to that. So what I decided to do was increase my dedication to my personal success and throw away my excuses and concentrate on me and tell my team what I was doing along the way and say, you're welcome to join me or you're welcome to do your own thing. But I am racing to the finish line. I would love you to race with me. But if you're not, I'm going to leave you in the dust because this one's up to you. So what did I do? First of all, I had to realize, what were my big fears? What was I so fearful of? I had not done IPAs in so long. I was terrified to start again. I kept going to my upline Tara and I was like, I'm terrified. I don't want to do cold messages. My yellow comes out of me. I get scared. So what was I afraid of? Because I'm not afraid of rejection. I've had plenty of people tell me no. No doesn't bother me. You know what I was afraid of? I was afraid of people seeing me as anything other than genuinely wanting to help them. That terrified me. And I did not want people to see me as salesy. So I had to flip my mindset. So here's what I figured out was wrong with me with cold messaging. My yellow side felt like reaching out to people before they came to me was self-serving. I was doing it because I wanted to better my business. So it was giving me that big roadblock of not knowing how to communicate with people. So I had to flip my mindset. I had to realize that, and this is my opinion, but Plexus took a huge dive when we could no longer share testimonies that were not compliant on Facebook. And you know what happened? People stopped understanding the magnitude of what these products can do, right? So we have all these amazing stories, but we can't talk about them. We can't talk about them. So I needed to understand that I had to reach out to people in order to tell them my wins and my successes and my stories that I couldn't talk about publicly. I have 300 people on my team that have amazing testimonies, but I can't talk about it on social media. So what's my other way around that? I have to reach out to people first, right? So that gave me the conviction that I needed to reach out to other people. That made me a yellow that was justified in the fact that I had to reach out to people. So the next thing I had to realize was, how was I not successful in reaching out with people in the first place? Well, I went back and looked at some of the messages that people had never responded to, and I realized that in not wanting to sound salesy, I was really actually giving them a sales pitch, because I was doing I just know you'll love Plexus. It concentrates on this, 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 and this, and you're just going to love it because of this. No, I gave them way too much information, and I made it a sales pitch, you guys. The non-salesy, deathly afraid of people seeing this, I was doing exactly the opposite of what I wanted. So what I decided to do was make it very, very simple. And I decided to throw my personality in it, because everybody knows on Facebook I'm kind of larger than life. I don't mind my crazy flag flying. So why wouldn't I put that in my message? So I would say something very simple like, oh my gosh, you popped into my head today. But I'm going to be really honest with you. I've sat down to write you 3 times and I have chickened out. But what I realized is that by not reaching out to you, I could potentially be keeping you from something that's been so incredible for me that I would feel like I was doing you disjustice with not reaching out to you. So I know that you've probably seen me posting about Plexus. Can we just set up a time to chat about it? Because I would really love to tell you my story. Tell you my story, not tell you about the products, not try to sell you on anything else. This has been huge for me, because if I can get somebody on the phone or in person and they can hear my heart and I can tell them my story and what I love, and then how it, then the more I tell my story, the more people open up to me, and then I can tell them how it's going to help them. So this is something that has really, really turned things around for me. The other thing I realized is that if I was going to be my plan B is all about me and I was going to concentrate on my business again, I need to learn to lead my team a little bit differently. You see, we were rocking and rolling over the summer, but I had so many people on my team who were like, I'm really busy. I do this, I do that. So I was like, okay, 3-way chats. I'll talk to them. And was my goal and my hope was that they would learn by example and start doing what I was doing. But what I realized in the process was that I was not empowering them as leaders. I was actually giving them excuses. I was not making them accountable for showing up. I was not making them accountable for doing their work. I was their crutch. And you cannot create a leader if you are a crutch to them. So big mistake on my part. I thought I was helping, and I actually was doing exactly the opposite. So, which brings me to my next point. It's really no surprise that we were not creating runners, right? Because they weren't thinking like leaders. So I realized that we really needed leadership and personal development. It's something that is talked about all the time, but everybody brushes it aside. And we had started leadership book over the summer, and it fizzled out. Everybody complained, it was summer and everything else, and it kind of fizzled out. And I was like, oh, let's just enough. We'll just come back to it another time. But what I realized is that as their leader, I had not used that law of navigation and helped them to realize why it was so important and the value of it. So I had a really honest talk with them, the kind of talk where I sent voice message and then thought, oh crap, they're all going to be so mad at me, right? So I held my heart out there and I said, you guys, you want to get to these goals, but we're spinning wheels and no one's getting anywhere. You have to do the leadership book. Enough with the excuses. If you want to get there, this is how you have to get there. I had got to tap into my red more as a leader in order to get you guys through, because what we've been doing has gotten us this far, but it's not going to get us any further. What I realized is that although I had done the leadership book before, I had put a lid on my own leadership. I had to raise the bar. I had to teach it to them and learn it through a different way. So they all agreed and we started doing the personal development. The reason they hadn't wanted to do it is that they thought, well, I don't have a team. Why would I need leadership? And I said, you guys, you're thinking about this wrong. You will never be a leader to other people if you don't know the leadership. When I did leadership book, I was not even gold yet. And I had no runners on my team. And although I kicked and screamed going to the meetings, I showed up every week. And when I got there, I loved it. And you know what happened? In the course of that 10 weeks of doing that book, I started with no runners and I ended with 7. I changed. It was me. My whole way of thinking was different because I had put my leader pants on. We use that term a lot on my team. You use your big girl panties, and then you put your leader pants on. So by helping them understand that they were never going to have a team to lead if they didn't do the leadership book, it opened everything. And we are only on chapter 6 right now, but I can already see huge changes in them. So once they understood that value, they committed, and, everything has changed. Everything has changed. The other thing I realized was that if you never talk about the business, you can never create runners. We have people who solely talk about products. And when you only talk about products, you create a product team. You create a product team, right? So, and these women, all my teammates, they love this business, but they get stuck and they get in that tunnel vision of how to talk about it with people. And so I'll say, well, how do you talk about your business with people? Well, I tell them it's a great opportunity. We make, money 11 ways and we get paid $5. No, that is never going to inspire people. So we did a hope dealer challenge, and I challenged them, what do you love about this business? And we sat and we cried, because you know what? We love this business. We love the friendships that come out of this business, the support. I don't know about you, but there is so much negativity in the world. To have that safe space of people that lift you up when you're down is invaluable to me. It is my favorite thing. The fact that my confidence has increased, the personal growth, how rewarding it is to help people. That's what we have to talk about when we talk about the business. No one cares how much we get paid. If we can't inspire them, we'll never get them through the door. Yes, to Reds, the money matters. And that's something you maybe do secondary. But, you cannot inspire people to do the business if you don't actually talk about what you love. So I got their wheels spinning that way. The other thing is, I don't know about you, but I love my business like I love my children. So when somebody asks how I'm doing, I'm going to talk about Plexus and my business, not the products, the business. The way I talk about my children and my pets, because it is a huge part of my life. I have many friends who don't do Plexus, but they ask me how my business is doing. So to me, they care. It's not something I'm hiding. I feel like we don't want to talk the business with people because we're so afraid of what people are going to think. But isn't it a little weird if we're talking about it on Facebook all the time and then we can't talk about it in real life? Yeah, that's salesy. And the more that we hold on to those hesitations, almost like it's an embarrassment, the more people are not going to ask about our business, right? So we've got to talk about our passion. Don't be afraid to be proud of what you've accomplished, even if you don't have a single person on your team. If you love what you're learning and you love all of this, talk about it, because otherwise no one will never, ever know. All right, I'm sorry, I have to change my train of thinking here. So attrition is the next thing. So here's what I learned. Leadership does not begin when you have someone that wants to do this business. Leadership does not mean running a team. You are a leader from the second you talk to someone as a potential. From that very first conversation, you are their leader. You have to lead them from being a skeptical person that's really unsure to committing to starting the products. And then you have to lead them from starting the products to being successful with them. And then if you're lucky enough to carry them through that and be put on your leader pants and lead them to success, it's your job to be a leader, to lead them to share. Leadership starts from the first second you talk to someone. That is a huge disconnect that I think most of us make, myself included. What did I write here? Put on your leader pants is what I put on. From the first second you talk to somebody, you have to put on your leader pants. You have got to lead every single person you talk to successfully. So to me, that starts with trying to figure out what their color is, right? And if I can't figure out their color, the next thing I do is figure out whether they're a facts person or if they are a feelings person. And I try to connect with them on their level with every single person. Attrition happens because we drop the ball from the very first conversation. We don't put value on setting those expectations. We tend to be a little too passive, and we have to channel our inner red with every single person we talk to, because you know what I realized? People are very quick to quit on themselves as soon as things get hard. So they need to trust that we are going to yank them and drag them through it. right? But the other thing is, I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be the one to carry through people through this. Why aren't we making people accountable for themselves? They're the ones that want to make the change. So why is it on us, right? So you need to make sure that people are like looking in the mirror from the very first second. Their success depends on them, not on us. But we have to have that hard conversation with people. So I actually established some rules. Now, I don't like sit here and say, okay, if you're going to do Plexus, then these are the rules you have to follow. But these are things that I make sure are in our conversations every time I talk to a potential. So I'm going to give them to you one by one and why they're important. Patience. Patience is something that I really, really drive home. It is not enough to say, you need to give this 90 days, or Plexus isn't a quick fix. In one ear, out the other. They really, at the end of the day, they don't care, right? So we have to make them understand why. Why 90 days? What's their body doing? What is it going to go through? What are the products doing? Why does it take so long? Why did they feel like crap in the first place? We have to navigate them through the process, not give them A to Z, right? So that is really, really, really important. The other thing is that we have to help them have expectations. Taking Plexus is not enough to reach most people's goals. So why would we set them up for the expectation that they are going to take Plexus and magically lose 20 pounds? So we have to make them understand that Plexus is a tool. I know you hear it all the time, but explain it to them. Hey, I know you really want these results. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your Plexus, but you're also not going to rely on it. You are going to use this as your tool to make healthier nutritional habits. Maybe break some other unhealthy habits that you have going on. You're going to use that extra energy and you are going to start moving faster and more, right? That is how we're going to get you to your goals. It takes more tools than just one in the toolbox to get you where you need to be. So that is what I mean when I tell people that they need to have patience. Give them the vision and make them a plan. The other thing is water. We all know that these products do not work without drinking half your body weight in water. That is a non-negotiable. They need to know before they even purchase that that has to happen. And then we can give them a plan on how to incorporate that and say, I will come to your house and I will set you an alarm in your phone if we have to. But this is, I do not want you to spend the money and only get half the amount of these products of what they can do. Drink the water. It's healthy. We're working on healthy. Drink the water. Right? The other thing is I always tell people to stay away from the scale. Okay? You are not allowed to look for this at the scale for 3 months. Ditch the scale. We all know that that number doesn't mean anything. And mindset really truly is what helps make the success of any potential. If they have that skepticism in them and they're looking for a number, their mind is not where it should be to be successful with these products. So help them understand, I don't want you to look at this. More than likely, you're going to bloat, and it's just going to be water weight that will go away. You know, tell them how Plexus is different than other weight loss companies, that it's going after the unhealthy stuff first, and that takes time. Help them understand inches lost versus pounds on a scale, but help them understand it so they know why they're supposed to measure and not be on a scale. The other thing is detox. So we all know detox causes bloat, but my goal with every single person that I talk to or do a 3-way chat with is to get people excited to go through die-off. You want the message and you're going, oh my God, my face is breaking out. I'm going through die-off. Because we know they came to us for a reason. They felt like crap. They've got toxins stuck in their body. Get them excited that is affirmation that these products are working. Rip the Band-Aid off and tell them to expect it and to get excited when it happens. Don't get them scared. Don't make it this scary thing that's like, well, you might go through die-off, so I just want to let you know you need to come to me. No, be like, girl, I can't wait until your face breaks out. You might get a rash. You could get bloated a little bit, but here's the thing. That's your body doing its job to get rid of the crap that was making you feel so awful in the first place. I'm telling you, it's all about mindset. And if we can set them up to get excited about that, you're going to get a lot more success out of your people. Now, the last one is communication. And this one I stress over and over and over and over again. How many times have you gotten people who all of a sudden just will not message you back? Right? I actually call that the PPP, the Plexus Protection Program, when people just go black ops and they stop messaging you. So I thought, well, how can we get ahead of this PPP? I make like a joke about it. And I'm like, the last thing I want is for you guys to go into the PPP. What is the PPP? The Plexus Protection Program, when people all of a sudden don't write us back. Let them understand the weight that we have on helping them with their success. Let them understand that their goals become our goals. I let people know I get extremely emotionally invested in what their goals are and how to get them there. So if I feel like they don't message me back, I get anxious. Let them know you're going to get anxious and you're going to get upset if they don't message you back. Tell them we were friends before Plexus, we'll be friends after Plexus, but please just say something is wrong. So the other thing is, like I said before, we're following up with our people and we tell them they have to communicate with us. I tell people your success depends on your ability to communicate with me. I am human and I will follow up with you to the best of my ability, but I am human, so I might not remember. So I want you to please feel comfortable talking to me if something is wrong. I was reading a law the other day of the 21 Laws of Leadership, and it says if your people won't come to you with the good, the bad, and the ugly, there's a trust miscommunication. So we've got to get them to trust us from that very first conversation before they even really commit, like before they start their products, and understand that their success is on them. If something's wrong, we're not mind readers. Okay? So to get ahead of that, they've got to come to us. So just by putting those things out there and making them accountable for their success and saying, I'm going to help you along the way, but this is a two-way street, has really, really helped us. The other thing with attrition is I realized that sometimes we don't obey the law of timing. So how many times have we been on a deadline or had a goal or something, you're like, but there's this incentive and you really, really want to do this now. How many of you have realized that those are the first people that quit on us? That is because we are not obeying the law of timing. At that point, they are doing it more for us than they are for themselves. We've pushed them into something that they are not ready to do. So that stopped on our team. So we want 100% commitment no matter what. So I always tell the girls, I'm like, and myself, anything I'm telling you here, I have learned from myself first, and I try to communicate that down to my team. But it all starts with the things that I did wrong. If you have someone who you think is really close and you're on a deadline and they're not reaching back to you, don't force them. Talk to someone else. This is why we always need to be talking to more and more and more people. I came back with a vengeance in January. I was getting that Garmin. I am not about the fitness and I do not know how to use technology, but darn it, somebody put an incentive in front of me and I was going to get it. So my husband is getting a very nice Plexus Garmin watch. But here's the thing. I talked to a lot of people in January and I got that Garmin, but I had 3 people I really thought were going to commit in January that didn't come around. Could you imagine if I had just tried to drag them through? I never would have gotten that Garmin. You cannot wait around for people. You just have to be there for the people that really want it. So we have to talk to more people rather than dragging through and making somebody commit to something they're not ready to do just because they want to help us out. So the other thing is about attrition that I realized is that relationship building is important. And we all know this, right? We all know relationship building is important, but do we really follow it? When we follow up with people, is it always Plexus? Is your relationship always about Plexus? Because that's salesy. That's what I realized. If I am not communicating with them in between following up, I am being their ambassador, not their friend. And when you're friends with people, they tend to stick around longer. So it's time to invest the time in those that have valued us. These people came to us and trusted us, and they do add to our paycheck. So we owe it to pour back into them. And I was reading the law of solid ground, and it says if you break that trust with people, they're donezo. They're done. It's a character flaw. If we drop the ball on them personally, it's a character flaw. They're done. They're gone. So it's worth commenting on Facebook and reaching out to them if you see someone sick or this or that, sending that personal message in between. Like that was a huge ball that was dropped on me, that I realized I was doing, is that I was really great at following up and, making sure that the relationship was there, but what was I doing outside of that? The other thing I realized that a lot of people lack, whether it's customers or ambassadors, is confidence. Confidence is a huge thing. Most people that feel like crap and they come to us for help, they have this lack of confidence. And I don't know about you, but confidence is the number one thing that has come out of me being on these products that I never saw expected, and it means the freaking most to me, is the confidence that I've gotten in myself and in this business and in feeling better. I realized that for so long, my body was my bully. It was what held me back from the things I loved. It made me insecure. And now that those shackles have been released, I have the confidence to do other things. So I want you to think about what helps increase your confidence. What makes you feel good? Because that's exactly what we need to be doing for every single customer ambassador. We need to love on everyone. We need to celebrate all their little wins huge. Make a big deal out of it for them. Get them excited. Help increase their confidence. What you need to feel good is what other people need to feel good. So whether they're struggling with something or they're, feeling, whether it's somebody that's doing the business and they don't feel like they're doing well, we have to love on our people. Sometimes we have to tough love them and make them accountable, but we have to make everybody feel good. So this brings me to the launch parties. Creating excitement is huge in this business. And I sat back and I looked at the fact that we weren't duplicating, and I thought, what is the disconnect? We have some people that can do this right away and some people that just can't seem to get it. And I realized it's the law of process. We haven't navigated them through. We've said make a price list and reach out to people and post on Facebook, but did we teach them how to do that? Because unless you have somebody that's red and really hungry for this business, that's not happening, guys. It's not happening. They're too scared, so we have to make them a better plan. So I got people on Zoom calls. I created the excitement. I created the need, and then I gave them a plan with the launch parties. Now, we have recently expanded the launch parties because here's the thing. What keeps somebody, and this does go back to attrition, I'm getting to my point, I promise. If we can get people an accountability partner or get them a couple customers, what do you think the chances are that they're going to stick around for longer? Because I think the chances are probably pretty darn good. So build on the idea of the launch party and just say, hey, you clearly love these products. Can we maybe throw a Facebook party? Think about how many times have you handed out business cards for somebody? And how many times have you hosted a pampered chef party or a makeup party or something just to help someone out? Why wouldn't someone want to help us out? Launch parties don't just have to be for people going silver. Launch parties can be for someone that loves us and is having success with their products. This builds our network, guys. We need other people's networks. So, or what about saying, I think the accountability partner is really, really big. If you can get somebody, no one is as excited as they are when they first sign up and they're hopeful. And, if you can get them to just say, does your best friend want to do this? I feel like we don't ask these things because we're afraid we are pressuring people. But what we're not doing is capitalizing on their excitement. We should be getting them excited. We're actually putting a lid on the whole thing if we feel like we're pressuring them so we don't offer them something exciting. So launch parties do not just have to be for people going to silver. Go back to your wholesalers. I've been even looking at my white lines who maybe stopped because, of financial things, but they didn't really want to work the business. Be like, you don't have to work the business. Talk to a couple people. Get them in a Facebook party. We'll get you a couple customers. Your products will be paid for. You don't have to work this business in order to get a couple customers. Go to your people and just say, go to your customers and say, would you just throw a Facebook party for me? I'm really trying to launch my business right now. Would you mind doing this for me and just getting some of your friends? People will say yes. So this is another way to get ahead of attrition. So anyway, I get very long-winded sometimes. I apologize. But being in that low in November and December made me realize a lot of things. First of all, it made me realize that truly, truly failure is only the path to our success. Failure is only what we make of it. And I don't know about you, but I refuse to fail at this. I refuse to fail. I am the only one that can quit myself, and I'm the only one that can lead the team that I have. And I might not be perfect at it, and I don't claim to be. I don't claim to be perfect at this, but I can tell you I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to try my hardest. And if something's not working, I'm going to try to think of another plan. And I'm going to fake it until I make it, because that's the business. There's no rule book. We never know if we're doing things right until it turns out wrong. And then it's only what we make of it and turn it around, right? The other thing that I realized is having grit is the key to success. You have to dig in and fight back when things don't go the way that you don't want them to go. And we have to expect to have those failures. Because if we have the mindset that everything is going to be sunshines and rainbows, that is going to hurt hard when the foot comes down. What I realized more than anything is that what does help us to fail in this business is our lack of belief in ourselves. That is the biggest key to success. We have got to move out of our own way and just do it. Just do it. I'm still scared every single time I send those messages, but I know that going out of that comfort zone in any way that I can is going to make me a little braver. And you know what comes off the other side of that? More confidence. And confidence is what keeps us going. It's essential in this business because if you don't have that confidence, no one will take you seriously. You're not going to get out of it unless you put into it. So mindset matters. And if we can just be brave and we can find that confidence and we can build our belief and we can lock arms and be transparent and honest with ourselves and our teams, I don't care how many times we fail, we will find that success eventually. So I hope you guys learned something from my story. I was crazy excited and crazy nervous to tell it to you, but thank you guys very, very, very much.
Oh my goodness, girlfriend. Okay. Not only is my phone blowing up from my leaders freaking out over you, I'm freaking out over you. So a couple of times you made me cry. And happy tears, because not only have you said everything I have ever felt as a frustrated leader, as an imperfect leader, somebody that wants to set examples and I can't even meet my own goals. Like, you just nailed it. You nailed my heart. And this is probably one of the best Zoom calls we've ever had. And I think my team.
You're going to make me cry. Thank you.
You are awesome. I'm changing the view so you can see all these different people right now that if you thought this was freaking amazing, like, smile, give her air 5, I don't know, but just show her thumbs up. There you go. Thumbs up.
Thank you for increasing my confidence. You guys are great.
You are so welcome. I know us reds and blue peeps need that words of affirmation all day. So I got you. And you can read the little chat box, one of the best.
I'm going to. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the best. Awesome. Thank you. You are amazing. Let's make her cry some more. Your words, best Zoom ever. So incredible. I'm so glad I got on this one because, they don't always get on, and here you are, girl. Everything you said wasn't anything new, I don't think. I mean, there was a couple of great new takeaways, but these were just the way you said it and the passion behind it. That's what's needed in this business. And it's such a refreshing reminder to hear it from someone that goes backwards and goes forward and goes backwards. I haven't been diamond in months, you guys. I know what this feels like. I know and it's just a rank. But we have egos, right? We're human. We have egos, and they get big, and they get big, and then the back office or that first white line just stomps it, and you're like, I can't do this. I'm not worthy. And you just, Satan gets in your mind, and it just, your mindset goes to crap. And that's exactly what she shared with us tonight. So if you do not know what book she was referring to, I'm pretty sure it's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Yes, John Maxwell, right? He's our homie. Every book he's written, I think, is on our team book list. So if you want a good book, if you want to really dive into leadership and beyond that Ashley level right now, because she up here, right? That's the book that you need. That's a book anyone can read and take away something. That's not Plexus related. That's not sales related. That's not go for no related. It's about you and your mindset And one more time, it was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It's red, gold, and black. You can get it on Amazon and any bookstore unless it's sold out, which tonight will probably sell out Amazon or something crazy. You guys, one more time, give Ashley a thumbs up, because I mean, very rarely do people make me emotional on Zoom chats. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, babe, she's making me cry and she has no idea. But it was on point. It really was. I loved that you, I'm sorry?
I was gonna say, if anybody has any questions, please feel free.
Yeah, well, I'm reading the group chat, because usually that's where questions come. It says, I needed this so much. I haven't been the strongest leader lately, and I'm very red. This is added fuel I have longed for. Thank you. This was phenomenal in all caps. Motivational. I'm going to be rewatching this. Very insightful, and her vulnerability really touched me. That is coming from someone that I like to say doesn't have a soul, because she doesn't have an ounce of yellow. Kelly, I love you. I'm totally teasing. But you've touched someone that is not yellow at all. So I want you to know that you are incredible. I'm going to tell your uplines how much I love you. And
Thank you.
So this will be on YouTube, you guys. If you don't follow Ashley on Facebook, go find her and follow her. Don't send her a million friend requests. I know what that's like. So follow her, shoot her a message, and tell her how awesome she is, just in case she doesn't see your chat inbox. Thank you so much. This video is going to be so amazing for other ambassadors that are just kind of stuck. This right here, everything she has showed, communication, attrition. What did I write down? Launch parties, confidence, leadership, your fears. And my favorite takeaway of the night was you need to check up from the neck up about mindset. Great takeaways. You guys, get this link as soon as it's up on YouTube and send it to 5 people on your team that need to watch it. Y'all have a great night. I'll get this recording up as soon as possible.